What was the biggest and cringiest lie you ever heard of? When one of my Facebook friends was acting like it was a competition to see whose life was worse. I was tired and needed to vent, and then a Facebook friend who seemed cool decided to message me and ask me what was wrong. I proceeded to tell him I was mad about the typical small everyday things, but I was mainly annoyed I was only getting 3 hours of sleep every day for the past few months due to busy scheduling and poor management. Basically very typical things a person would complain about when they feel tired, for example trash not being thrown away because someone just forgot to throw it away, or not making enough money because inflation and the usual stuff we used to buy has gone up in price while our wages stay the same. Facebook friend then responds, asking if I wanted to vent or do I want advice, and then also told me to not take that shit and just leave it all and leave my town because I always put myself into bad situations. And I answered by saying I just needed to vent and was just annoyed. But it wasn't a big deal simply because I knew things like this comes with responsibility as living as an adult and being a parent who has bills to pay and things to do. It is one of the obvious reasons why my life seems so chaotic, but another obvious reason was my mistake of trying to stay up and not sleep enough because I wanted things done, and I also had a habit of doing that because of my old job. Imagine leaving your family and your job and ditching your home that you fully paid for and leaving town just because someone didn't throw away a piece of trash. That makes perfect sense. It became more clear that this person has zero adulting experience, considering he has no form of identification or any income because he refuses to get a job or a vehicle and still lives with their parents and recklessly spends any money they have on clothes instead of using the money for life improvement. Thus gave me more reason why I refused to take any advice from this person, and I never asked for advice to begin with. It's like working at an army base and your MOS is artillery, but someone who works at Walmart is trying to tell you how to do your job, but in this case it's actually more funny because this person isn't employed at all. I also will not take anyone who says they used to be in a gang and supposedly got shot and almost died and waves around a handgun around their face with no trigger discipline on a Facebook story serious. If it tells you anything, this person wears oversized hats and doesn't know how to take care of their hair and thinks they're a Satanist by painting their nails and putting 666 on every post, and adopted a quote from William Shakespeare but also doesn't know how to spell. But anyways, he was starting to irk me and I thought it was pretty dumb of him to give me such poor advice, but I asked him if he takes his own advice and if it ever worked. He says, yes, he had tried tying a rope and took acid and tried to unalive himself and almost died. I think he meant tie a noose, but he couldn't spell it, so he decided to say rope. Then I told him, at least he gets sleep, hoping that was at least something positive other than dying. But it triggers him and he gets mad and tells me to stop assuming, with lots of profanities added. I only assumed because the last time we spoke he told me all he does is sleep because he never had anything to do and people never invite him to do anything, and I triggered him more when I said something along the lines of, I just thought you slept a lot because you don't work. Do you have work? He then calls me names and proceeds to tell me it's not about him. Mind you, this whole conversation was about him because every time I told him what was going on he always had to relay some events that he had gone through that was way worse than what I am going through. But he tells me to stop assuming things and that he makes money from hustling and scamming girls out of money and he's rich and can buy anything he wants, even though we had a conversation about him buying my Mazda RX-7 and I wanted $1,000 for it but he couldn't afford it, and so I lowered the price to $300 but he still couldn't afford it and he asked to do payments every month. I thought $1,000 was affordable and $300 was a huge steal considering the car still runs. He had also asked to borrow money from me before, so I was puzzled how he can be rich if he couldn't buy my car or something as cheap as an ID. He then decides to double down and claims he only gets 2 hours of sleep throughout the whole week. Seems suspicious. Sounds like he had me beat by 1 hour. Wow. When I thought it was over, there was more. I've made a mistake by telling him I have PTSD and it comes and goes, but he had to beat me at that too, so now he triples down and says he's had PTSD too and got no help and dealt with it on his own. That explains why he is the way he is. At this point it felt like a pissing contest and I wasn't game for it and was already just not wanting to talk anymore, but I just tell him he's worse than me. You are trying to help me by making me feel bad. I don't know, man, I don't think that's how it is supposed to work. Like, congratulations, your life is shittier and you suck more than I do, good for you. Like, I don't understand if it makes him feel good that he is worse than anyone else. I wouldn't think that would be a positive thing to boast about. But whatever. You do you, boo. Now he's still mad and calling me names, and he now does the complete opposite of what he was trying to do in the first place. Now he tells me that I deserve to be lonely and deserve the bad things because of karma, and kept quoting Shakespeare, which I give him some credit. Probably not the philosopher I would have chosen, but it was a stepping stone for him and spared him some dignity. I never really believed in karma, but recently I feel it might be real because the Facebook friend was just self-projecting and to this day remains single with no friends, and has been obvious he is lying, and makes me wonder if that's why nobody likes him. Update. He keeps posting about buying everything he wants and living the life, even claimed to be buying a third house, which doesn't add up considering he still lives in his parents' house. Also, he makes references on his status about me, but it's okay. I still have friends and close family and a job and 2 houses and amazing cars I get to drive, and I don't have to lie to get people to respect and like me. Facebook friend, you get a F-. Lying about your past and present and calling people names just because you feel sad and scamming innocent people and also not knowing how to spell. Do yourself and your family a favor and get off of your rear and get your life situated and get your social security and state ID and a job and help your parents out instead of pissing and moaning on Facebook all day every day. By the way, you not sleeping a lot is evident because you spend too much time on the internet. Do what thou wilt. Alistair Crowley. 666. Happy Thanksgiving.